Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Always exciting to dive into a new topic.
And today we're exploring some YouTube videos from Talk English with Pod.
Oh yeah, I've seen that channel.
Yeah, it's a channel dedicated to helping people master the English language.
Lots of good stuff there.
We've got videos about texting, special diets, and small talk.
Sounds interesting.
We'll uncover those fascinating linguistic nuggets that we often miss in our daily lives.
Right, those little details we take for granted.
Exactly. So let's start with texting.
Okay.
I find it incredible how to text became a verb.
Yeah.
The emergence of cell phones and SMS language really revolutionized communication.
Absolutely.
And in a way, impacted the structure of the English language itself.
Definitely a testament to how language evolves alongside technology.
For sure.
What's interesting is that text talk isn't just about shortening words.
Yeah.
It's become a unique dialect with its own set of rules and creativity. Take, for example, the use of acronyms like BRB and LOL, which have seamlessly integrated into our daily lexicon.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was reading an article about how some writers are incorporating text talk into their novels and poetry
Wow.
to capture the voice of a generation.
Interesting.
They argue that it adds a layer of authenticity and reflects how language is used in the digital age.
That's a fascinating point.
It really challenges the notion that text talk is detrimental to language.
I see what you mean.
Instead, it suggests that it can be a powerful tool for expression,
Yeah.
especially when used intentionally and creatively.
But there's also the argument that while text talk has its place,
Right.
it's crucial to maintain a distinction between informal and formal communication.
Absolutely. Knowing when to switch between text talk and standard English is vital.
Yeah.
Think about the difference between texting a friend and writing a professional email context is key.
Precisely.
It's about striking a balance between embracing the evolution of language and preserving the clarity and formality required in certain situations. This reminds me of a study I came across that explored the impact of texting on literacy.
Interesting.
The researchers found that teenagers who frequently use text talk were actually better at decoding complex written language because they were adept at deciphering abbreviations and understanding the implied meanings behind them.
That's a surprising finding.
It really challenges the assumption that texting hinders literacy skills.
Yeah.
Perhaps it inadvertently strengthens certain cognitive abilities related to language processing.
Could be.
It seems like there's still so much we don't know about how texting is shaping the way we read, write, and think.
For sure.
It's a dynamic area of research that constantly reveals new insights.
It is.
Now let's switch gears and dive into another topic. Dietary choices.
Okay.
These videos cover the intricacies of different diets, like vegetarian, vegan, and pescatarian.
Right.
They go beyond simple definitions and delve into the nuances,
Okay.
especially in the context of understanding food labels.
And one of the videos talks about the challenges vegans face
Right.
when trying to decipher whether a product contains animal-derived ingredients.
It can be so tricky.
And in some countries, labeling regulations aren't as stringent,
I see.
making it difficult to determine if a product is truly vegan.
Imagine traveling to a place where you don't speak the language and trying to navigate these complexities.
That would be so hard.
It highlights the importance of being a well-informed consumer,
Absolutely.
especially when adopting a specific diet.
It's about being proactive, asking questions, and researching ingredients to ensure you're making choices that align with your dietary preferences.
And speaking of challenges, one of the videos shares an anecdote about accidentally buying spoiled chicken from the supermarket. It reminds us that even with labeling, there's always a risk.
For sure.
And knowing your rights as a consumer is important.
Absolutely.
Don't hesitate to return or exchange a product if it doesn't meet the expected quality. You have the right to safe and properly labeled food.
It's fascinating how a simple trip to the supermarket can spark a conversation about language, culture, and consumer rights.
It really does highlight the interconnectedness of these seemingly disparate aspects of our lives.
It does. It really does.
Right? From deciphering labels to understanding cultural norms around food, language plays a crucial role.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of cultural norms, these videos also touch on the availability of vegan and vegetarian options in different parts of the world.
Oh, right.
How interesting.
They highlight how dietary choices can be intertwined with cultural traditions and culinary practices.
Yeah.
For example, in some cultures, meat is a central part of almost every meal, making it challenging for individuals to maintain a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle.
It's interesting to think about how those cultural differences can influence dietary choices and access to certain foods.
Yeah.
For instance, I was reading about how some countries are seeing a surge in the popularity of vegan and vegetarian restaurants, while others are slower to embrace these trends.
It's likely a combination of factors,
Probably.
including awareness of health and environmental issues, as well as the increasing availability of plant-based alternatives.
I think so too.
It'll be interesting to see how these trends continue to evolve globally.
Definitely. Now let's move on to our final topic. Small talk.
Okay.
These videos offer a deep dive into the art of casual conversation, breaking down common phrases and their subtle nuances. It's something we often take for granted, but it plays a crucial role in our social interactions.
What struck me was the emphasis on the importance of understanding the context of these phrases.
Oh, yeah.
A simple, "how's it going?" can have a very different meaning,
Right.
depending on who you're talking to and the setting.
I've always found the phrase business or pleasure intriguing.
Oh, really?
It feels like a social code that instantly sets the tone for the conversation.
Yeah, it's a way of establishing the purpose of the interaction,
Right.
signaling whether it's a professional exchange or a casual encounter. Exactly.
The choice of words can subtly convey your intentions.
And then there are phrases like, "show you the sights," or "drop by," which are inherently informal and often used to express a desire to connect on a more personal level.
It's about moving beyond the surface level of small talk
Yeah.
and hinting at a willingness to build a deeper connection.
Right.
However, as the videos point out, it's crucial to gauge the other person's interest
I see.
and not come across as presumptuous.
Right. Timing and social cues are key in navigating those subtle transitions in conversation.
Like learning the unspoken rules of a social dance. Exactly. Speaking of unspoken rules, the videos also highlight the importance of body language in small talk.
Oh, that's so true.
Eye contact, a genuine smile,
Yeah.
and active listening cues can convey more than words alone.
It's about showing that you're engaged and interested in the conversation. I've noticed that even a slight nod or a tilt of the head can make a difference in how your message is perceived,
It's those subtle nonverbal signals.
that create a sense of connection and encourage the conversation to flow naturally.
Definitely.
Of course, there are times when you might need to gracefully exit a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
The videos offer some helpful tips on how to do so without causing offense.
No, we've all been in those situations where we're desperately searching for an escape route from a never-ending small talk loop.
They suggest using phrases like, "it was great catching up with you, but I should let you get back to," or
Right.
"I need to run, but it was lovely chatting with you."
Right.
These are polite ways to signal that you need to move on without abruptly ending the conversation.
It's like having a toolkit of social strategies to navigate those tricky moments.
Yeah.
But it's not just about avoiding awkwardness. It's about respecting the other person's time and boundaries.
Exactly. It's a matter of social etiquette
For sure.
and being mindful of the other person's cues.
Now, while these videos focus on spoken language, it's fascinating to see how text talk is starting to bleed into our spoken vocabulary.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Have you noticed how people sometimes actually say LOL out loud instead of laughing?
I have. It's like the lines between our digital and physical communication styles are becoming increasingly blurred.
Totally.
It makes you wonder how these changes will shape the future of language.
Yeah,
Will we eventually be speaking in acronyms and emojis?
that's a thought-provoking question.
While I don't think we'll entirely abandon traditional forms of language, it's clear that the way we communicate is evolving rapidly.
It really is.
The key is to be aware of these shifts and adapt accordingly,
Right.
understanding that language is a dynamic and constantly changing system.
I completely agree. It's about embracing those changes while also recognizing the importance of clarity and precision in communication.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act.
Speaking of balancing acts,
Okay.
let's circle back to the topic of dietary choices.
Okay.
One of the videos touched on the challenges of maintaining a vegan lifestyle in cultures where meat is a staple food. This raises questions about accessibility and cultural sensitivity.
Definitely.
How can we be mindful of those differences and ensure
Yeah.
that individuals feel supported in making dietary choices that align with their values and beliefs?
It's an important consideration.
It is.
It's about promoting inclusivity and understanding,
For sure.
recognizing that food plays a significant role in cultural identity and traditions.
Absolutely.
It's about fostering respectful dialogue and finding ways to accommodate diverse dietary needs without imposing our own beliefs on others.
Well said.
I think this deep dive has highlighted the multifaceted nature of language and its impact on various aspects of our lives.
It has.
From our personal interactions to our cultural practices.
It has been a fascinating exploration.
It really has, and these Talk English with Pod videos got me thinking about the impact of social media on language.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically the rise of influencer culture and how it's introducing new words and phrases into our vocabulary.
That's an intriguing observation.
We're constantly bombarded with new slang terms, catchphrases, and even product names that quickly become part of the online lexicon.
It's a form of linguistic evolution.
Yeah.
Driven by marketing and trends.
Right. Think about how many times you've heard someone say #goals or living my best life.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
These phrases originated in the online world,
Right.
but have seamlessly integrated into our everyday conversations.
It speaks to the power of social media to influence not just our thoughts and behaviors, but also the way we express ourselves.
It's like a form of linguistic contagion, where words and phrases spread rapidly through online networks.
Exactly.
And it's not just about individual words, it's about the overall tone and style of communication.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the language used on social media tends to be more informal,
I see.
emotive, and visually driven, with an emphasis on brevity and impact.
It's a reflection of the fast-paced nature of online platforms, where attention spans are short and competition for engagement is fierce.
It's wild.
It's fascinating to see how these trends are shaping the way we write and speak,
Right.
even in offline settings.
Absolutely. We're becoming more accustomed to concise, attention-grabbing language.
Sure.
And that's bound to have a ripple effect on traditional forms of communication.
Definitely.
But let's circle back to something we touched on earlier,
Right.
the blurring of lines between text talk and spoken language.
You mentioned people saying LOL out loud.
Right.
It's an interesting example of how digital language habits are migrating into our offline interactions.
It raises questions about whether this is simply a harmless quirk or a sign of a deeper shift in how we communicate.
Some argue that it's a sign of laziness or a decline in verbal skills, but others see it as a natural evolution of language, reflecting how technology is reshaping our communication patterns.
It's a debate that's likely to continue as technology continues to advance and our relationship with language evolves.
What's important is that we remain aware of these changes and engage in critical thinking about their potential impact.
I agree. We need to be mindful of how we use language, both online and offline, and ensure that we're communicating effectively and respectfully.
And that includes being aware of the potential pitfalls of online language, such as the spread of misinformation and the use of language to incite hatred or division.
It's a reminder that words have power.
Absolutely.
And should be used responsibly.
So, to wrap things up, I think this deep dive into Talk English with Pod has revealed how much we can learn about ourselves and our world by paying attention to language.
It's a reminder that language is more than just a tool for communication.
It's a reflection of our culture, our values, and our ever-evolving relationship with technology.
Whether we're texting a friend, ordering a vegan meal, or navigating the nuances of small talk, language is a powerful force that shapes our interactions and our understanding of the world.
So as you go about your day, dear listener, we encourage you to listen closely to the words around you.
To appreciate the subtle nuances of language.
And to use your own words thoughtfully and intentionally.
Because within those words lies a world of meaning waiting to be explored.
And until our next deep dive,
happy listening.